I got a ton of money, and all you got was a rundown house and a useless field?
My brother, Matt, who unexpectedly inherited a large sum of money, sneers at me during the will reading.
Taking care of them all those years, and this is what you get? Guess they didn't love you, huh?
His words stung, but I didn't argue back. Just wait and see. I'm not one to go down without a fight. Fueled by my anger towards Matt, I threw myself into the hard work of restoring the neglected field. My name is Lisa, a 50-year-old housewife. I've been married to my husband, Michael, for 25 years, and our kids are all grown up and have moved out. I thought we'd enjoy a quiet and peaceful life together, but life never goes as planned. Just as the kids became independent, my parents' care needs started. Michael's parents had already passed away, so it was my own parents I needed to take care of. They'd always been farmers, strong and healthy. I'd often helped out during harvest time. The fresh vegetables were delicious, crisp, sweet, and full of flavor. I could only reminisce because those days were long gone. My parents, worn down by age, had become frail and retired from farming.
I really wanted to keep going, but
My dad said with a weak smile.
I wish I could let you taste those vegetables again.
My mom said, clearly disappointed.
it would have been great if Matt had taken over.
My dad muttered, slumping his shoulders. I have a brother, Matt, who's 2 years older than me. Matt has always been irresponsible, doing whatever he felt like and rarely following through with anything. He barely attended high school and eventually dropped out because he couldn't be bothered. After that, he left home and drifted from one temp job to another. Occasionally, he'd show up at the house to ask our parents for money. Even though he was a pain, they couldn't bring themselves to be too hard on him. After my parents quit farming, Matt stopped coming around entirely, saying,
There's no money to be had from a couple of retirees.
he didn't care about his parents when they don't have money. What a lousy brother. Even though I tried to forget about him, family is family, and my parents would occasionally said.
I wonder how he's doing.
After they stopped farming, they aged rapidly. Looking back, I think if they'd kept it up, even just as a hobby, things might have been different. By the time I realized that, it was too late. They both became bedridden.
Sorry, Lisa.
Thanks for all your hard work, dear.
They apologized, but I just shook my head with a smile.
I am who I am today because of you two. Let me repay you.
Hearing that, my mom teared up and said thank you. Caring for them was hard, but I didn't have young kids to take care of anymore, and I wasn't working. I had thought about getting a part-time job after the kids left, but we weren't struggling, so I figured that could wait. After talking it over with Michael, I decided to move into my parents' house to care for them full-time.
They don't have much time left.
The doctor said, and his words hit me like a ton of bricks. I called Matt, crying.
Would you come to see them one last time?
Sure, he was irresponsible, but he was still my brother, my parents' beloved son. Surely he remembered the love they'd given him. However, his response was terrible.
Huh? Why? I'm busy.
Busy? Do you have a job?
Like hell, I'd work full-time. I did some temp work yesterday, but today I'm thinking of heading to the races.
Let me guess, is it the race of animals?
Yeah, you got it.
And are the animals horses?
Man, Lisa, you're sharp.
Are you seriously saying gambling is more important than seeing our parents one last time?
Gambling is more important than life itself.
You're unbelievable.
I hung up the phone, furious at my worthless brother. He never came to see our parents, even as they got weaker by the day. Then, just like that, Dad passed away, and the next day, Mom followed him. They had always been a close couple, even in death. Once I finished crying, I had to deal with the busy reality of planning their funeral. It was a hectic time, but Michael and our 2 sons helped, and we managed. Really, Matt and I should have worked it out together, but of course, he didn't show. I managed to get hold of him, but he just said,
Huh? The funeral? I'm busy, so just take care of it.
and hung up. Just take care of it. Even at 52, Matt was still as irresponsible as ever. Frustrated with him, I managed to get through the tearful funeral. Then, a few days later, Matt showed up at the house for the first time in ages. The guy who didn't even come to the funeral. Why was he here? Simple, he was here to discuss the inheritance.
Hey Lisa, long time no see. You've really turned into an old lady, huh?
Leave me alone. You're an old man yourself.
I'm single, so I'm way more youthful than you. I bet people would think I'm your younger brother.
I was too stunned to even respond. For a man who'd spent his life playing around, he sure had aged poorly.
Did you bring flowers or something for Mom and Dad?
I asked.
Why bother? You think dead people care about that?
That's not the point.
I replied, annoyed by his complete lack of grief. Though, I didn't bother arguing. The faster we got through this, the better.
Let's get this over with.
I said, sitting down. We turned to the attorney who was overseeing the reading of the will. My parents had made sure to leave a proper will.
What does it say? How much do I get?
Hey,
Matt said, lunging for the document the moment the attorney opened it. Why can't he calm down? Before I could express my frustration with Matt, the attorney began reading the will. As a result, Matt got the cash, and I inherited the family home and the farm where our parents worked so hard. The moment he found out, Matt burst into laughter.
Ha! Seriously? That's hilarious. I got this, right? Whoa, $300,000. That's insane. Farming really does pay off, huh?
The document that showed the amount of money he will get had been handed to the attorney along with the will. It was quite a sum. For Matt, who never held a steady job, it was a fortune. Even I was a bit surprised at how much they had left behind. My parents worked hard, but their only real hobby had been farming, so they never really spent any money.
And what about you, Lisa?
He asked, still chuckling and glancing at me with a grin, even though he'd heard the contents of the will. His behavior made his nasty personality all too clear.
the house and the land.
I said.
You gotta be kidding.
He doubled over with laughter. I told myself to stay calm, biting back my anger.
So I get the cash, and you get the rundown house and some useless field?
He said, laughing uncontrollably.
And here you were, taking care of Dad and Mom all these years, but they didn't love you enough to leave you the good stuff.
I was furious, so much that I thought I'd burst, but I held it together. There was no point in arguing with him. It was true that the house and land were worth nowhere near what Matt was inheriting in cash. Though, our parents wanted me to preserve the house and farm, to keep the family legacy alive. I knew they loved me. That was enough.
Well, I guess firstborn sons are always the favorites, and I was the cute son, so I get it.
He said, finally calming down, waving the document in front of my face.
So, I'm taking this. See ya.
Like hell he was. I wasn't about to deal with future inheritance disputes. The attorney had prepared a consent form, and Matt signed them before leaving. The moment he was out of sight, I went to the front door, shouting.
Never come back.
I decided to forget about him. I'd likely never see him again anyway, and honestly, that was for the best. It wasn't until a year after my parents passed, when the inheritance issues and endless paperwork were finally settled, that I was able to start thinking clearly. I spent that time cleaning up the house that became mine. With all the stuff gone, the house felt empty. I had my own home with Michael, and Matt wasn't wrong. The place was in bad shape. Maybe I should just sell it? Nevertheless, the thought of losing the family home made me sad. As I sat there, lost in thought, I noticed an old hoe in the garden. Nobody uses those anymore, but my dad loved that thing. When I was little, it was stored out of my reach for safety. Now, the metal is rusted, and the handle is falling apart. I touched it gently, remembering my dad working the field, sweating but always smiling, with my mom beside him, laughing. It was a distant, beloved memory. Closing my eyes, I relived those moments, then opened them and made a decision.
Farming?
Yeah. I mean, it's more like a hobby, but I want to do it.
I said to Michael.
Sounds good to me.
He replied. I wanted to grow something in the field my parents had left behind, so I asked Michael, and he immediately agreed.
You sure?
Your parents left it for you. Give it a try.
I was so grateful for his support. I got in touch with one of my dad's farmer friends, and they helped me start working on the overgrown field. I began trying out different vegetables, some that my dad used to grow, and some new ones. It was much harder than I expected.
Wow, farming is tough.
I'd done some gardening before, but this was a whole new level. It wasn't just the size of the field, it was the complexity of growing vegetables to sell, not just to eat. Reviving the soil, figuring out which vegetables would thrive, dealing with pests and birds, it was a constant battle. Progress was slow, and I failed a lot.
You actually doing that farming stuff? Rich folks like me don't have time for that.
Matt had heard about my farming and called just to mock me. I hung up on him immediately. Forget him. I channeled my anger into working the field. Even second-hand farm equipment was expensive, but I used my savings.
It's your money, so I'm not worried.
Michael said, always supportive. Even though it was technically my money, I'd saved it up from the allowances he gave me over the years, so it was really his money. However, he didn't care and supported me anyway. I fell in love with him all over again. Our sons also helped by researching things online and sharing what they found with me. The local farmers, my dad's old friends, were great, too. With Matt out of the picture, I realized how fortunate I was to have such a wonderful support system. What started as a hobby quickly became a passion, and before I knew it, I was completely hooked. I guess I really am my parents' daughter, after all. Time passed, and eventually,
I did it.
the vegetables weren't as sweet and fresh as the ones my parents grew, and the yield was small, but I was proud.
Not bad for a first try.
Said one of the farmers who had been helping me. It meant a lot coming from him, who reminded me of my dad.
You just need to adjust the fertilizer and water levels a bit. Your dad used to use this kind of fertilizer.
I still had so much to learn. I kept gathering tips and information, determined to recreate my parents' flavors. As time went on, the field flourished. What started as a small corner of the field soon became a fully restored farm, filled with different crops.
Wow, it's a great harvest again this year.
Thank you very much.
Please keep supplying us in the future.
Of course, thank you.
I had reached the point where I could sell the vegetables. I gained some loyal clients along the way. A TV station even came to do a feature on how a housewife started farming and became successful. Before I knew it, the vegetables I grew had become popular products. That said, I couldn't have gotten this far on my own. I was helped by many people, and most importantly, I had the wisdom my father passed down to me. Still, I had a long way to go. I was nowhere near my father's level. I clenched my fist, thinking,
I have to keep working harder.
Hey, what's all this?
Then I heard a voice I thought I had pushed to the back of my mind. As I was heading toward the field, I turned around when I heard that voice I had forgotten.
Matt.
How many years had it been? I barely recognized him, but there was just enough resemblance for me to know it was Matt. He hadn't just aged, he was far worse off than that.
Oh, Matt. You've, really started to shine.
Yeah, I'm shining more than ever. Hey, stop making fun of my head.
Matt noticed me staring at his head and yelled at me with a furious expression. Though, it didn't scare me. In fact, it was kind of funny. I wanted to laugh, but knew it would only make things worse, so I held back with all my might. My cheeks were twitching with the effort.
What's the matter, Matt? It's been a long time. I thought I'd never see you again.
I really didn't think I'd ever see him return to the family home. Matt pointed to the house behind me and yelled,
What's the meaning of this?
What do you mean? This is the house you grew up in.
I know that. It used to be a dump. How is it so clean and nice now?
That's right. The house, which I had once considered selling because it was falling apart, had been fully renovated.
Because I had it repaired.
Where did you get the money?
I earned it.
Oh,
I wished he'd stop yelling. Just because I was almost 60 doesn't mean my hearing's gone.
You know I started farming, right? The vegetables I grew on the land I inherited became popular, and the business is doing well.
what?
I had gone through so much to finally get the business on track. Then, of course, just when things were going well, Matt showed up. I had a bad feeling. Sure enough, Matt blurted out,
So that land is worth a fortune, huh?
Huh? What are you talking about?
There's no way a total amateur like you could make money farming so easily.
Of course, it wasn't easy. I worked hard.
No, that land must have golden soil. The soil must be super fertile or something. You knew that and kept it a secret, didn't you?
Don't just ignore all the hard work I've done. And what's this nonsense about golden soil?
It must be some super nutritious, magical soil. You knew that and kept it to yourself, didn't you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know the law. If it turns out an asset is worth more than expected, we can reopen the inheritance division. I'm filing a claim and I'm taking the farm.
Don't be an idiot.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. Wait, no, I'm not.
Yes, you are. I don't know where he picked up that half-baked idea, but shouting it out loud just makes him look even more foolish. I sighed deeply and said,
The value of the land hasn't changed.
That's a lie.
Why would I lie? If you don't believe me, go ahead and have a realtor appraise the land.
Fine, I will. You'll regret this.
I won't. The price of land around here hasn't changed in decades.
What? Really?
If you don't believe me, ask a realtor.
My confidence must have shaken him because his face started to cloud over.
But you're making money, right? You're profiting because of the farm, aren't you?
Because of the farm? Sure, I started farming on that land, and now it's profitable.
See, I knew it.
He's so loud. His complete misunderstanding was starting to wear me down.
Fine, whatever.
I was done talking, so I shouted in frustration.
You can use half the field. Do whatever you want.
Yes.
Matt raised his fist in triumph, like he'd won some great victory. Despite my outburst, I was actually calm inside. Let's see how this goes. Matt, who never lifted a finger to help with the farm while our parents were alive, would then have to show what he could do with it.
Help me.
Wow, that was fast. It had only been a month since Matt started farming. I divided the field in half and let him use one side, which became bare land. In just a month, he was already asking for help.
Huh? What do you need help with?
I have no idea what I'm doing.
I could tell. The field was a mess, completely neglected, with no preparation for growing crops. What had he been doing for the past month?
This is crazy. I thought this land was supposed to be golden soil. I planted seeds, so why isn't anything growing?
Is he seriously still going on about golden soil? Does he think just planting seeds is all it takes? If it were that easy, everyone would be doing it.
You need to learn more. Maybe in a few years, you'll start making money.
I wasn't going to offer any real advice. When I brushed him off, he came to me practically in tears. I didn't want his snot on me, so I stepped back.
Please help me. You're my sister, aren't you?
You didn't even come to see our parents in their final days, so I don't really want to think of you as my brother.
Now, of all times, he wants to call me his sister? I coldly turned him down, and he slumped in defeat.
I've got my own farm to take care of. I've had a lot of people help me get this far. You need to work hard and become someone worth helping. Like I said, keep at it for a few years, and maybe.
I don't have a luxury of waiting.
I was about to push Matt to try harder, but with a serious look on his face, he yelled.
I can't wait for years or even months. My debt repayment is due soon.
Debt.
Yeah, I'm drowning in debt right now.
What? You inherited $300,000, didn't you?
I spent it.
What?
I blew it all on gambling, and now I'm broke.
What?
I didn't want to get a job, so I took out loans hoping for a big win, but I lost everything. Then I heard you were making money from farming, so I thought I could too. But nothing's working. Why am I not making money?
How should I know?
I was too shocked to even respond. He had squandered the precious inheritance our parents left him in just a few years. He thought he could easily make a fortune with farming? It was absurd.
Please, Lisa, I'm begging you, help me.
I refuse.
Even though he was my brother, I had no desire to help him anymore. If he had shown even a shred of determination to fix things on his own, maybe I would have lent a hand. However, Matt was still relying on others, just like always. He hadn't changed, still irresponsible and unwilling to try.
Please help me, the debt collectors will be coming soon.
Ignoring his desperate cries, I walked away from the field. I don't know what happened to him after that. I heard rumors that he was being chased by debt collectors and constantly on the run. Other than that, I haven't heard much, but I can guess the rest. After Matt was gone, the field came back under my care, and farming on the expanse of land went smoothly. As I worked in the field, feeling a bit of strain in my shoulders, Michael, who had been helping me on his day off, came over to give me a shoulder rub.
Once I retire, how about we do this together?
He had said that to me recently, and it made me so happy. Even our sons seem to be interested in farming, so who knows? The house and land that my father cherished and my mother loved have come back to life. I wonder if they're happy seeing this.
Mom, Dad, I'll keep protecting this land and farm.
I'll continue aiming to grow the delicious vegetables you both once made. So, please, keep watching over us.